My name is Daniel.
I'm Jessica.
And as mentioned in the introduction, we will talk about our DevOps journey and focus on what were the perks and pitfalls about this journey and the evolution of that journey and how it ended up with our FinOps related work that we do in Kambi. Before we're going into this, just a short introduction to what are we doing at Kambi. So at Kambi, we love sports. We love sports that much, so we decided to make a living out of sports. So we are the leading supplier of online and land-based sportsbook. So you could use our product using a mobile phone, you could use it on a laptop, or you can go into a betting kiosk. For instance, in Sweden, we have ATG and Svenska Spel, which both are hosted and powered by Kambi when it comes to sports betting. Many different devices you could access our product. And what we actually do is that we take real-time data, and with that, we create games. I mean, sports. I mean, Manchester United, Everton, or whatever, tennis sport, or whatever. And we also create odds and bet offers that you could wager on. That's our core product. But of course, there's a lot of other different things within our platform. We have a huge data warehouse because we need to use a lot of the data to have our material. We also have regulatory products because we're in a highly regulated market. We have specific tools for that. Risk management might be one of the most important factors to sports betting, so we could balance our risks. And we also have a user interface. So for many of our customers, what you actually see is everything you see is provided by Kambi. Our customers are just using a frame. So all of these different technologies and services we provide within our products. We are in all of the dark blue areas of the world, which means that every single second of 24/7, there is a bet being placed by one of our customers. Every time there is a game going on that we have an odds for that is live right now. But apart from that low latency, everything is up all the time. We have extreme spikes when it comes to certain specific events, which Super Bowl, Champions League final, the Euro final, when we have very, very high volume of traffic. So we need to be up all the time. And on top of that, we're also a global company when it comes to staffing, and we have around 1,000 people employed within the company, where the majority of our engineering department are sitting here in Stockholm.
Our DevOps journey, it began in late 2020 when we realized we needed to do something. We had previously reorganized into value streams, did maybe the opposite way around compared to what people have spoken about today. We'd also started to break down our monolith into microservices, but we really didn't get that flow we wanted. We had also grown a lot the last years, about 10 to 15% more people every year, but we were still organized in the same way when it came to the division between operations and development. We also had too many processes around day-to-day activities. We were using agile methodologies, but we still had these handovers and the manual steps when it came to release and deployment part. We had this traditional division between operations and engineering where the developers threw their code over the fence to operations for release and deploy. And the dev teams, they had ownership, but they didn't really have the mandate. And they didn't have the access to production to be able to improve their situation. So they were frustrated. Operations teams were swamped. Neither of the teams in the different departments did see any ways to improve their situation. So the time to market was slow. And at the same time, we had a high demand on throughput. And at this time, our operations department, they cater for both external customers and the internal ones, the development teams, with the primary focus on the external customers, our partners. And at the same time, development were building more and more components, more applications, and wanted to get things out quick. And we simply didn't scale. We had around, I think it were 5 application technicians releasing for more than like 45 development teams. We also had a tradition that we were building over buying. So we didn't really take advantage of buying services outside the company. And this is where it also ties back to FinOps later. We actually lacked the financial insights on the team level. We didn't have any insights of the cost of manpower and the cost of infrastructures to keep our services running. As I said, this was during 2020, and this was when COVID still dictated everyone's day-to-day life. So we had problems when it came to hardware and severe hardware capacity issues. It could mean that we could wait for up till 1 year to get hardware in place and to get a new component out in production in the worst case scenario. We had knowledge about cloud technology. It was used in several parts of the company and with some teams. But we weren't using it to the full extent. We really didn't have the strategy in place. We were hybrid with on-prem and some cloud things, but we weren't really using technologies and tools to the full extent that could speed us up. And the teams, they did not have the full ownership. They had lack of operational knowledge. They had lack of understanding of how their components were working in production. And no access to production logs and stuff like that. So it was hard to improve things from an architecture perspective, but also cost perspective. So we decided, let's go DevOps, and at the same time, let's do a cloud lift and shift where suitable. So how did we go about it then? We did have a clear direction and vision from the beginning, and we got a really good buy-in from the beginning, from the C-level management and all the way to our partners. They were really on board with this, that we needed to focus a bit on this transformation instead of product features. We had a clear sponsor and priority. We drove this as a strategic initiative with me as a driver, a dedicated driver. We had our SVP of engineering, Maria Naveirosund, as a sponsor. And we managed to get this initiative in our global priority list, where normally only product features are dominant. We also had a change management group. We were doing maturity level assessments when it came to DevOps, where we wanted to be, where we were at the moment, looking into things like culture, communication, observability, and things like that. And we also appointed change ambassadors within the organization. Yeah, we were working a lot. We had this agile approach with continuous improvements, working incrementally. We had easy adopter teams looking into things, building a lot of proof of concepts for a lot of technical solutions with container platforms and things that could speed everything up. But one thing that we also did was to create a completely new value stream, and that were the platform teams that came in to focus with their own sole purpose, to focus on the dev teams and to support the transformation. These engineers, they worked with different things. They created paved road solutions. They were working as embedded resources within the dev teams to speed things up, to broaden the knowledge within the company. They had task force that were removing blockers for the teams, and the mantra was always like, unblock yourselves. What we also did was to bring in operations and product management under the engineering umbrella. They weren't there before, they were outside. So in with them, and we made operations a value stream as well, and made an agile transformation. So they could come closer to the rest of engineering organization. And then we worked a lot when it came to these things as transparency, communication, and we coached around courage and things like dare to fail. We had sessions with fail cakes if you share, and teams shared things that others could learn from. We introduced a DevOps demo every second week to even more knowledge sharing. And a lot of things. We were more transparent about metrics, both the transformation metrics, but also the dev experience metrics like team health checks to look into on a regular basis. Did we succeed then? Well, we'll have learned a lot. We have come pretty far, I would say. There are some things that maybe we should have been aware of and done differently today. And one thing, as you see on this picture to the right, is it's a known thing when it comes to change management, that change phases can be out of sync. And we were in different phases when it came to the transformations, with the ones that were leading the transformation in the beginning were like ahead. We didn't really have the awareness to that extent, the impact of like people coming a bit later in the phases.
I think I was like 1 year in, then it sunk into me. Oh, this is what we're doing.
Exactly. So this is, as Daniel points out, this is like one thing that we kind of missed, is that we underestimated the effort to get the middle layer managers on board. So, and the speed of transformation is highly dependent on the ability to scale as well, and to get people on board, to be ambassadors, to drive the change. We had a lot of people that were working with something else at the same time. So I was a driver, but I had other roles at the same time. So the other ambassadors as well. It worked, but things could have gone faster if we had a different approach to that. One other thing is the ratio between employees and consultants. We had a lot of consultants involved driving the change, advocating for it. Sometimes that was perceived as a threat, and maybe they don't really know our business. So yeah, make sure to get employees on board, have them to help you in the transformation. And one interesting thing learning that we were appointing like change managers and approaching informal leaders, but there were others that stepped forward and took the lead, actually, than we expected. That was interesting. Leading change during change is one thing as well. We realized quite late that we needed really to repeat the message. The drivers were maybe kind of tired of the message already, but others weren't on board. So we also grew, as I said, a lot. And we needed to have like simple thing, introduction courses for new starters. Why are we doing this, actually? And what's in it for me? The value of things. And then in the beginning, we had a lot of gamification to inspire and spark interest and such. We had qualitative metrics, 2%. But after a while, we tended to more communicate about the quantitative ones, and that weren't so inspiring and motivating as the feedback was to us. I don't know if you're familiar with the term bucketeering. But here, since this was an initiative that had a lot of traction and it went well, people tended to wanted to put in a lot of things here under this umbrella because they realized things were happening. So architects came with the NFR requirements. We had dev teams really happy, so now we can focus on tech debt. So this is one thing we realized, one thing that it grew, everything grew. And what about the stakeholders outside engineering? We were talking a lot within engineering, and it was going well. We were talking with the other departments as well. We had legal, and we had the SecOps, and we had the compliance departments. But still, we kind of missed them. They weren't really on board. So with all this, if we would have done this today, maybe we would have done a risk analysis with all this knowledge, and to also identify more of things that we had not anticipated. So the perks then, the value we see so far. We see significant cultural and collaborative improvements. We see this between the teams. We see this within the teams. And people are happier at the moment, actually. We also see that these DORA metrics that people have been talking about today, they have, we see real improvements. We have increased number of releases. We have more acknowledged benefits in scalability and flexibility. We are technically more able to scale according to load. We have faster incident resolution and stuff. And release time has got down to sometimes 1 year due to the hardware situation to minutes sometimes too. We see the synergy effects, like the bucketeering. We have much more NFR compliance. Tech debt has been addressed, so it's pros and cons. And less personal dependencies. And innovation increased as well. And finally, increased transparency. And definitely, we are making more informed choices now. And on the cost side, so the better cost allocation, it became a clear perk. But at the same time here, we also saw that our cost started to go crazy. So it increased dramatically, and in came FinOps.
In came FinOps, which was then the natural next step of all the DevOps-related work that we had done in Kambi. Just taking a quick pause there. FinOps, for you that are not aware about that word or that expression, is the combination of finance and DevOps. Part of this, our DevOps journey, we also made the journey into the cloud. In our case, AWS. And well, it was good. We could see things. We got all of these different perks. But cost then. Okay. Moving things to the cloud cost money. I mean, you could have things in a data center. You could have a huge database and just add more and more and more and more stuff. But you just pay for the initial payment when you're setting that up. Adding things to the cloud, on the other hand, every single load you add to the cloud will increase your bill. You will pay more to your cloud provider. And this was not really a thing we had discussed before, how to address the costing effect of moving that much of our load to the cloud. And the cloud cost just kept increasing. So everyone agreed that we are not on a sustainable path and we need to do something about it. And we decided to go with the FinOps principles. And these are open principles, which are directed by the FinOps Foundation group, which are on the website, on the internet. So just Google FinOps Foundation and you will find a lot of useful information that anyone can use when setting this up in your organizations. Really inspiring. And we decided to go with that framework. And first thing we did, FinOps action number 1, form a group. We need a task force. This is, as I said, going out of control. Okay, so who should be part of that group? We went with finance. Because finance, they pay our bill. Finance for sure is starting asking questions to engineering. Hi guys and girls, what are you doing over there? Because this is going out of control. So we realized we can't just have them as some sort of stakeholder here. We need to have them in the group and discussing this with us. Procurement, used to buy hardware and racks and setting up servers. They might be a good factor here as well, because now we'll start to have conversations with our cloud provider, also in the same way, someone looking ahead, knowing about the processes. Procurement where needed. Okay, we need some sort of cultural driver, because this will mean communication. And for some reason, that became me. I mean, I don't know the reason. There might be a reason why I'm down on the stage today. And I have the same role within my company as well about communicating what we want to do and what we expect by the different teams and departments. Then we had operations, Jessica, because now we did a big move to the cloud, but we still had certain things still on-prem. We are also regulated, which means that we need to have certain loads running in certain geographical territories. Without having the full picture, we will be in somewhat blind here. So you joined the group as well. Of course, an architect is good to have. I mean, someone having the high-level technological picture of what are we doing, what is our platform doing here. And then we also had the reliability engineers and these platform groups, because if we can find ways to not reinvent the wheel in 40 different places, we should. And we had learnings from our DevOps journey that was really successful in moving along, and we thought it could be here as well. Okay, great. We have a group that finally can tackle this. FinOps action number 2. Get tagging guidelines and cost traction started. Okay, we all can see we are bleeding, but where? Cost Explorer in AWS is, you could get certain amount of data there, but it's tied to accounts. It might not be that granular. It's really hard to find out the details. We thought, at least. It could be different, I mean, depending how you're using it, but we thought that it was not a complete tool for us. Another thing from the development teams, that they were used to just put up things into some on-prem server, and now the cloud, yes, but they did not have the tradition of tagging things. So they just throw things up there. They know their components, they know what they're doing, but if someone externally wants to look at how their components are doing and how the cost traction is, for instance, we had no idea. So tagging guidelines needed to be in place so we could see and get knowledge what's actually going on. We then also hired a third-party tool to get a better overview. I know some examples where companies have built their own tools to consume all the cost files that the cloud provider is sending. We decided we're going and buying a third-party tool directly. Jessica just mentioned that we still are, I would say, a general build before buy company. But in this case, we needed to get traction now. We couldn't wait, and we didn't have the resources to put on this. So we went on with a tool. And I would say that that has been really, really important in our journey to become better at this, because now anyone at team level, product owner level, management level could build their own customized reports and follow up on what's actually going on in different departments and teams. So first now, we could follow up what's going on, because until this point, we were blind. We could just see things are going out of control. So now we have a group in place. We start to get a vision. Where are we bleeding? What's not going on? So our FinOps action number 3 was to make commitments. I would say this is the fastest way for you to be able to take control over your increased costs in the cloud. I mean, same thing as if you go to a bank and you take a mortgage, you will probably not just take the list rent that the bank offers. You will probably get some sort of discount or negotiate for a discount with your mortgage. Same thing with cloud providers. They're probably willing to give you discounts because, of course, that will lock you up. But if you have made a move into the cloud, you probably are committed anyhow to be within their solutions for the next 1 to 3 or 5 years. So making commitments is really our first step to starting reducing our cost. And we used the FinOps group here because that was a small, agile group that could take quick decisions, not involving too many other people. So they are looking at forecasts, budgets, what do we think, how much commitment do we want to make, for how long, and not without involving that many other people. So we can move quick and take quick decisions when we have this type of situations. And our last action that we did was to start then the cultural journey. Okay, we had a problem here. So teams used the cloud resources as if they were still on-prem. So I know examples where a team ordered a 2.5 terabyte database, and when we looked, they used 100 gigabytes. They were like kind of used of, the resources are endless. I don't need to keep track of this. Why should I right size? Someone else's will right size. So our goal in this case with the cultural journey was to make the team take the same responsibility for costs as for all other functionality. We had a clear goal in the DevOps journey that you should move and transition your software that you're responsible for and make it work. And we know that our developers were proud about making it work. We also wanted them to be proud of actually also then running it efficiently. Part of our cultural journey, sharing is caring, a lot of sharing. And we had the sharing network already up through the DevOps journey. So we continued sharing good FinOps stories so we could aspire. And we had a lot of other learnings from the DevOps journey, which we also then applied for FinOps. So it was a really good opportunity. I mean, me as a cultural driver did not need to start from scratch. We had all of these other forums already up, and I just hijacked them for FinOps. And of course, building common tools that makes the transition smoother. We had these platform teams. So we could do things that could make it easier for all teams to adjust and not reinvent the wheel in all different places. For instance, test environments. Why should they be up on weekends and evenings when we're not working? Perfect. Someone centrally handles that and help the teams making this possible. So not every single team needs to invent this functionality, for instance. And we have been very clear with our teams, take advantage of the cloud and DevOps, but it comes with a responsibility. Spin up service if you want to do load tests for a week. That's great because we will have a much more mature product going into production. But please take these servers down when you're completed. Don't forget about that. So all of this different functionality, that they should not be afraid of using the cloud. They should do it, but they need to know the consequences of being there and the cost it comes with. And of course, be patient. Culture changes takes time, and overall, a cultural change never really ends. It just continues and being reiterated. And we have felt the same thing as well. And also the FinOps group, which was our step number 1, of course, that one also evolved over time. We have this baseline first of like, okay, cost is increasing, we need to do something. But we definitely have increased our scope. And we're also owner of some main KPIs that everyone comes to us to ask for, okay, how are we dealing with these KPIs? And today we handle cloud optimization, we handle on-prem optimization, and we also discuss metrics and logs optimizations. Because that's another thing. Why should components just spam out a lot of logs and metrics that they are not using. For instance, you put on debug in Grafana and then you forget about it and you just continue to spam out a lot of different resources. Please turn that one off. So there is a lot of optimizations that could be done. So the question here, have we been successful now a bit more 1 year plus since this journey was started with FinOps? And we did lower our key metric. It has improved with 25%, which means that we have reduced the cost for the most important transaction within our company with 25% compared to when we started to measure this. At the same time, we have actually increased our footprint in the cloud and put more components into it, which means that optimizations have compensated for what we were and for other things we also put into the cloud, which is good, of course. And I would say that our cultural awareness is a completely new level in our company. People are discussing it. Most teams and developers are aware of this is expected by them. You could hear lunch discussions about people talking about cost optimizations. So I think it definitely has started to sink in that this is something we need to care about and have in mind all the time. So yes, we are definitely satisfied with our result. But as always, this is a journey and it will probably never end. And we, of course, have areas of improvement. KPIs. We have a main KPI. That one really works. Having low-level KPIs, I mean, what should we measure? Just looking at cost and see that cost is declining, that's not really good because that might mean that we're doing less business. We want to make sure that we're actually improving with our key things, the key output that we have in our platform. And that's quite hard to find these KPIs that are good. I mean, you can find a lot of KPIs that doesn't make sense. But really find good KPIs, that's tricky. Automation. So far, we have done quite a lot. We have certain elements of automation in place, but a lot of these actions are still fairly manual, and we need to do much more when it comes to automation. And priority. Other things are happening in our world as well. I mean, we have tech debt, we have new customers coming in, we want to build new features. So we have not been able to maybe put as much priority on this as we wanted to. And then we have the real complex scenarios. So we have started to pick the low-hanging fruits up to a certain level, and now we're getting into this more complex scenario of optimization where it's not that easy. You can just sit some persons in the room and find out how to solve this. It takes quite a lot of time to figure out what to do. So that is our current situation when it comes to FinOps. Thank you a lot for listening in.